330 BC. Asia, South Caspian Sea. The Persian campaign of Alexander the Great is in full swing. After conquering Persia he can target India. But his army needs a rest. He camps with his 30,000 men as soon as he got there. However, an unexpected event occurred that shocked him as well as his army, which proved to be a great preoccupation among historians and non-historians. While Alexander the Great was in his camp, received an unexpected visit from Thalestris, an Amazon queen. She was accompanied by 300 cavalry Amazons, stating that she intended to mate with him in order to give birth to his offspring. What was going on? In ancient times, the region of the Black Sea, the Transcaucasia, and the Caspian Sea, was inhabited by Saka-Scythians and related nomadic and semi-nomadic tribes of equestrian archers. In these tribes, men and women rode horses, hunted, fought, forming same-sex or mixed-sex groups, depending on the circumstances. Women's teams could be formed or dispersed depending on the circumstances, such as when highly qualified woman leaders emerge in the absence of competent men or as a result of casualties in combat. These women were, indeed, warriors of barbarian origin, organized into groups dominated by the women they called the Amazons. They wore pointed like hats, long-sleeved tunics decorated with glittering images of animals, belts with ornate gold buckles, fitted trousers with patterns or riding skirts, soft leather boots and capes from feline bags. Thalestris was one of them and was really their queen. This Amazon queen left with a great escort the place where she lived to reach the camp of Alexander via the Caspian Gate. She thought or hoped to meet sexually the man who had conquered Darius, the famous king of Persia. Approaching the area where Alexander had camped, he commanded the messengers to go ahead and announce her arrival and intentions. With the consent of Alexander the Great, she arrived at the camp with the guard of 300 women, leaving behind her the rest of her army. Thalestris wore a dress tied just above the knees, possibly a wide skirt properly lifted for riding. It is supposed that she followed the customs of an equestrian archer, member of the Saka-Scythian group. Therefore, Thalestris would be equipped with a sword, a pair of spears, Scythian art quiver, bow and arrow. In addition, bright gold fabrics, finely embroidered and adapted to the back of her robust horse would complement the image. When she saw Alexander with her eyes, Thalestris leaped down, holding 2 spears in her right hand. She allowed her gaze to wander about his body more than once, without hiding her surprise because of his slender physique and usual appearance. It was believed that a hero similar to Alexander was expected to have a robust physique and rough features. Nevertheless, when Alexander asked her if she had any request, she generously informed him of her expectation. She said she was able to conceive a super descendant because of her relative superiority over the rest of the female population. She also said it was worth the effort to offer a successor to his kingdom. Indeed, Thalestris probably thought that developing a close relationship or mating with Alexander, the most distinguished, the strongest, and the bravest of all men, was an excellent choice. The result would be offsprings with higher features, surpassing in perfection every mortal. Then she made an interesting promise: if the child born was a girl, she would raise it alone, but if it was a boy, she would give it back to him, Alexander. This kind of promise or offer reflects the traditional practices of raising children, followed by barbaric nomadic women and men, according to several testimonies of ancient historians. The boys came back to their ancestral tribes who adopted them as their legitimate heirs. Such arrangements, in which boys, and sometimes girls, grew up under the protection of associated groups or races, were commonplace in ancient times. They arrived even in modern times among Caucasian peoples and other races of Eurasia as a method of securing alliances. Alexander was not surprised by the invitation, as he responded willingly. After spending 13 days and nights as a couple, he honored her with generous farewell presents. Then Thalestris left with her escort or entourage. It is important to know that the 300 women, already proven capable warriors, who accompanied Thales tries also succeeded in sexually meeting the soldiers of Alexander. These are in summary some of the historical and non-historical references associated with the event. But how credible can this story be, a legend that spreads like a forest fire, assuming epic proportions in antiquity? The alleged event rightly provoked controversy, which is not surprising. It was a love affair with a hero on the one hand and a powerful woman on the other. A hero who went far beyond his times and was worshipped as a god, with a woman who was recognized as the brave queen of Amazons. But what was the true purpose of Thalestris' visit to Alexander the Great? We wonder now if there is another explanation of the event. The echo of Alexander's epic victory over the Persian Empire had reached every region of Persian influence between the Black and Caspian Seas. Chroniclers describe numerous Scythian tribes and others, sending delegations with armed escorts, in anticipation of the leader of the new superpower. Is it possible that the Scythians have sent a similar embassy to Alexander, and as such was the famous visit of Thales tries, but with a very specific secret purpose? The Scythians with King Aetas in charge were increasingly involved on the Greek-Macedonian sphere of influence. Collisions began between Philip, king of the Macedonians, father of Alexander the Great, and the ruler Aetas. In 339 BC, the two armies clashed on the plains of modern-day Dobruja. Aetas was killed in battle when he was 90 years old, with his army was defeated. Philip seems to have been injured, but his horse was killed. Peace was the result between Scythians and Macedonians, but with the price of concession of 20,000 Scythian women and as many steppe mares to the Macedonians. It was therefore natural, following this defeat, for the empire of Aetas to fall apart. But the Scythians did not forget this defeat and the cost of the concession and responded. They decided to get as much information as possible on the future military plans of Macedonia. The Amazonian queen Thalestris was the most suitable candidate to successfully execute the mission. Apart from her physical beauty, she was well known for her high mental strength relative to the other Amazons. Thalestris belonged to a tribe which had formed groups, among others, specialized in reconnaissance, negotiation, or exploration, and finally espionage. Her spying goal would be to uncover as much information as she could of Alexander pretending to be erotic and stay with him for many days. Two observations suggest that she had approached him for secret purposes and had finally persuaded him to discuss in military terms. A. Alexander was said to be quite enthusiastic with the military knowledge of Thalestris and the prolonged military discussions they had over the 13 days. He therefore asked her, probably her escort also, to join his cavalry, but Thalestris refused. B. The reason of her visit, that is, get pregnant, is not justified. We don't even have any information on the birth of a descendant from the union with Alexander. Finally, how likely is it some of these 300 Amazons having acted as the main spy body of the Scythians? What is the likelihood that the spy option with some of the 300 Amazons will stay with the Macedonian soldiers? What is the probability that the goal to extract additional military secrets from the military, even after the departure of Thalestris? How likely is it Thalestris playing the role of the Scythian Trojan horse?